There was one participant on the program that we have right now, and that is Miss Athenius Jackson, who is founder and executive director of One Touch Transformation. Ms. Jackson.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So I know most of the time when we hear about violence, we automatically think of either verbal violence or gun, fist fight, but whatever the cause. But my specialty is sexual violence. So sexual violence begins right in the home. It started with me as a child. I was sexually molested by a family member next door to where I was living. And so this was something that I kept silent about for 20 years. So it wasn't until about 8 years ago when I first revealed to my family that I was a victim of childhood sexual abuse. So sexual violence, it begins right in the home before we can even talk about it in our community and in our churches or whatever level we may speak on and about it. But it starts in the home. And so we have to do our part as a family, as a community, and as a people. And even in our Black community, because this is something that we do not talk about. It's one of those things where we say what happens in the house stays in our house. We keep it covered. We don't let anyone know our business. But this is our business. Sexual violence is our business. When a child comes forward and shares what has happened, it is up to us as adults to believe them, to protect them, to get the help that they need. If they don't, they would have to suffer for the rest of their life with the effects of sexual abuse. So many times we walk around not knowing who is still suffering from the pain of the past. Sisters and brothers, family members and friends, not knowing what they're holding back. All from one touch or for whatever the act was from when there was a child. It is so important that we talk about it, have the conversation within our homes, within our churches, within our communities. We have to have the conversation. That's where awareness begins. That's how we can tackle it up front before it builds to something else. Because believe it or not, when it happens in the home and we don't talk about it, it's bottled up and then it's shown through other ways. Through drugs, through alcohol, through sex, and everything that involves violence. So it begins in the home. One thing that I learned recently, when it comes to Black women sharing their story or even reporting it, statistics says that for every one Black woman who reports, 15 women say nothing. Do you want to know why? Because oftentimes when Black women come forward and share their story, they're not believed, they're blamed. They're victim blame. Oh, she shouldn't have had on this. Oh, she shouldn't have been there, or she shouldn't have been drinking. But what about when it comes to our children? How can we blame our children for coming forward when someone has touched them or assaulted them or molested them? 1 in 4 girls will be sexually abused before she's 18, and 1 in 6 boys will be assaulted before 18. So imagine how many people are still walking around suffering in silence. So we must do our part now. We have to have the conversation. We have to teach our children who predators are. Predators are not always strangers. Predators are family members. Predators are community leaders. Predators are church members. They're the deacons, some of them the ministers and pastors. So we have to teach them who predators are. No more stranger danger. No more boogeyman or the monster, but predators look like people that they know, or it's people they know and people who they trust. So have the conversation with your children. Let them know that their body belongs to them. Who is allowed to touch them and who is not. Let them know that they can tell you if someone is making them feel uncomfortable, whether through touching or whether through words that they're saying. So have the conversation with your children. Have the conversation with your family. Be a support system if someone ever comes forward and tell you that they have been a victim. We all have a part that we can play because sexual violence, it affects us directly or indirectly because we know someone who has been a victim. and it affects society because we have to deal with family members, friends, co-workers. So we are all affected indirectly in some way. And so I say to you today, let's all do our part, beginning with our family, and then we can go into the community and we can come together as a people to finally say that no more being silent, no more not talking about it, but it's time to come together and speak up, stand up, and support all victims and survivors, whether it's male or female, black or white, because it has no color. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, doesn't matter who you are, it can happen. But if it does happen, and if you know someone that it has happened to, be a support and give them the resources that are needed, because help, therapy, counseling is available, and you will become a better person and you'll be able to overcome, like I did. I wasn't able to talk about my story until 8 years ago, but I know what it provides for myself as well as others who have been through the same or similar traumatic experience. So I hope something that I've said will, I guess, pique your interest or either catapult you to have this conversation and make it a part of everyday conversation, because we can't just let it die out, because it's going to continue to happen. It's been a cycle for generation after generation, but we have to be the one to stop and break the cycle and stop sexual violence. Do your part. If you see something going on, speak up, say something. If you know it's not right, say something, speak up. If someone confides in you, encourage them to get help. If you're in school, someone shares it with you, encourage them to take it to the guidance counselor or to a teacher, to tell someone, because that's something that you don't want to just live with for the rest of your life, suffering in silence. So I appreciate your attention. I appreciate the invitation, and I hope that something that was said was encouraging and inspiring and will help you to help someone else. Thank you.
Something happened in their school and nobody addresses that, that becomes part of their psychological profile. And over time, they might end up being that type of person because they feel like they either have to defend themselves or they want to be that person on the other side. So one thing about guns, bullets don't make U-turns. So once a bullet leaves, then guess what? It's gonna do its damage. So our kids may grow up feeling like, I don't want to be on the end where the bullet comes out. I want to be on the end that pulls the trigger. And they think that that's gonna make them tough. Because as parents, we have to address a couple of things as parents, that we're not the only one teaching our kids. The gangs are teaching our kids. Yes, the schools are teaching our kids. But one other thing is the streets are teaching our kids. So now, if kids experience violent acts and they feel like, okay, if I go outside, I have to defend myself, or I need somebody to help defend me, what's more likely for them to do? Join a gang. Because it's part of their mental profile again. So once they join a gang, then guess what? They're on the other side of the trigger. And I know when our officers just address the fact that, you know, things happen in the neighborhood and they're gonna keep happening. But when does it stop? It stops when we address the mental health part of dealing with violent acts. If it's not addressed, here's two things that are taught. One thing is our kids are taught to lie. The second part is taught to trust, not to trust. And the not to lie part is, if that you send them to their room, they never talk about what they just saw. Every time you ask your child what's wrong, what are they going to say? Nothing. Are you okay? Yes. But on the inside, they're hurting, and they want to learn to talk to somebody. But again, addressing the fact, what did our culture teach us? Not to talk to people. So then there's a trust factor. And everybody's looking for that one person that they can go to and rely on for positive advice, positive influence. And one thing I can say is, we're adults, and when we see stuff, we don't talk about it. So imagine what your kids are doing. And over time, it's just gonna fester and fester and fester. So guess what? If you don't talk to them, the next person that's gonna be talking to is one of those officers. And if not, the next person that might be talking to you is the coroner. one thing that's never went out of business is funerals. And that's the thing that we keep seeing over and over. It's not a matter of showing pride or showing our respect for our loved ones by putting their faces and their names on a t-shirt. We always want to say, you know, rest in peace so-and-so. But what if we would have actually talked to this person before they went out in the street and addressed and tried to do what they would have done? They may have still been here. What if we talk to these kids and go out and do violent acts and give them mental health counseling? Then these officers may not have to come pick them up. These ladies that just were up here, they have a job for a reason. Let's not make it seem and keep the stigma that we can't seek mental health counseling. It's for everybody. If your child is going through something and you feel like they need to go to a counselor, go with them. It's very important that they have somebody that they can trust, somebody that they can talk to, because they may not feel like talking to you, because if we're not mental health professionals as parents, we can't just say, baby, it'll be all right, you know, it's okay. Your child is hurting. Your child has seen a lot. And not to paint an ugly picture, but if they saw somebody get shot and whatever their body might look like, that's a traumatic situation. We as adults, we might see a car accident on the road or see something on the internet, and we're hurt by it. But we're adults, so we know how to either go talk to one of our friends or go talk to somebody. Our kids need a trust factor. They need a trust person. And kids, if you don't feel like you can talk to your parents, please, by all means, talk to a teacher, a coach, somebody in your family that you trust, a pastor, anybody, a mentor. But at some point, you're going to need to get that off your chest. You're going to need to find someone. And parents, be supportive. Don't think that your kids are just saying things because they were watching videos or they listen to a rap song. All the stuff that might be in that song might have just happened outside your house or in the neighborhood down the street. These things need to be addressed, and again, there's nothing wrong with seeking help. I say again, there's nothing wrong with seeking help. And parents, if you don't have the answer, find somebody that does, because these things need to be addressed before it happens again. I thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Again, if not, I'll turn this back over to Brother Lamit Miller.
Thank you, Brother Blathers. Everyone, we do have a little token to thank everyone. We have various speakers here, but also I want to open the floor to anyone else who may like to speak briefly. Anybody in the audience would like to come up and speak briefly on violence.
Good afternoon. I am Teresa Burgess, and I am a 29-year educator, and I also serve as the Parent District Liaison for Florence School District 3. This event here today is very awesome, and I appreciate the men of Omega Psi Phi for organizing this event. I'm presently working at an alternative school where I'm teaching children ages kindergarten through 3rd grade. And this is something that was unheard of. Me, as a child, alternative school for children this young. So I appreciate you, all of the things that were said today, the encouraging words, because yes, our children are listening to others. If you're not speaking to them in the household, they're listening to anyone that pays them attention. Thank you again for everything that you guys have done today.
Welcome to Christian News TY, and I'm Timber C, and we're here with the brothers of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and we're here with
Nathaniel Thomas,
My brother Lamit Miller, Brother William Wilson,
Brother Daniel Blathers.
and they're here to talk about their event today. Could you guys tell us about your event and what made you inspired to do this type of stuff?
Well, first of all, this was a wonderful event, and the kids today, they're really fortunate to have events like this, because when we was younger, we didn't have a lot of positive role models in our community. So I think that's what we was lacking, guidance, when we was coming up. So this event right here was very powerful and very inspirational to us all.
To me, this event in reference to Stop the Violence 2020 plus one as a community, we're on our one, is very
much needed to let everyone know that there are different types of violence. And from all the resources that was here today, I believe everyone received a lot of valuable information.
This is our second opportunity to put this event on. And again, not only recognizing violence and various types, but the resources that are available to help when they encounter violence, whatever manner.
And also, you know, we all know that there are violent situations that go on in our community, but this is one of the ways that we can offer solutions and be a part of the problem solving in our community.
Thank you.
What's the name of the officer that spoke up here from Lake City Police Department? Huh?
My name is Jordan. I'm from Florence, South Carolina. I am in the 11th grade at Wilson High School. And yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's like a 50-50, 33%, about a 16% chance of you.
My name is Marco Devon. I'm in 11th grade. I'm 17 years old. I go to Wilson High School in Florence, South Carolina.
All right, you have an answer? You get that? What's the name?
It was Jennifer Earon.
Say it loud.
Jennifer Earon.
Okay. What? Oh, okay. Hey, that's one part. See there? You already got the purple on. See there? You're going to take this off. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. All right, one of the speakers spoke of, well, you know what? Right here, his brother Blazers. Can you tell me what he spoke about when he was up here? Tell everybody.
He was talking about that when something happens about in rap song, it could have happened outside or something that you don't want to tell your parents that's eager enough inside you that your parents keep from you sometimes. They keep something from you sometimes too, and you want to know things about them.
This is what I want you to do. I want you to go around everybody that's here. See that? This is a nice shirt. Show me shirt. Okay. All right, next I'll bring to you is the bossless Coyote Chapter.
Good afternoon. My name is William Wilson. I'm the bossless president of Coyote Chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And looking at the time, it's 12:59. I'm supposed to be the last person, so I got an hour. Y'all ready? First of all, I want to thank you all for being here this morning and this afternoon. The weather worked in our favor today. It's just as pleasant as it can be. Some of y'all hot. I see some people sweating out here right now. Probably put too many clothes on this morning, but that's all well and good. Thank you, brother Reverend Elmo. Reverend Elmo, thank you so much. One of the things he said was violence. He talked about violence and how what I wanted to hear him say, violence begets violence, but it can't be changed unless we push, as he said, pray until something happens. I may have talked about there is a better life, and there is a better life if we approach these issues of violence head on rather than letting them fester, as Brother Blathers mentioned. Officer Majors, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And one of the things that he mentioned was the issues that we're having in Lake City, but there's some of the same issues we're having in every other community or in every other jurisdiction in this area. But we've got to address them, and you can't address them unless you meet it head on. Church is one place somebody mentioned that folk can go to make a difference. You can meet good people in church. Goes church for the devil anyway, but the devil in church. But church is a place to begin. And I'm sure Rev. Elmo will talk with you today. If you don't have a church family, see him. See him. He'll direct you somewhere in your general area where you can become a thriving member in some congregation. Some of the things that we didn't talk about were, there are a number of different types of violence. And just to touch on a few, there's sexual violence, there's emotional violence, psychological violence. There's also spiritual and cultural violence. And then we can talk about abuse as well. Physical abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse. The one thing I'll tell you now is that you got some good information here today, and we're probably preaching to the choir. There are a number of people that should be here that aren't, but you can go out and spread the information that you received today. The other thing that you can do is, if you need help with anything, resources, as mentioned, are available. Take advantage of those resources. Stay on top of your kids. Monitor what they're doing. On social media, on their telephone, just conversations with their text messages. Monitor that kind of stuff and have conversations. Have the kind of conversations that are meaningful. And when you have those conversations, you won't have to worry about whether they can talk to you or not. As long as you are in their corner, stand by their side, and be the guide that they need in this day and time. Those are the comments that I have.
All right, we have some certificates, and I got one plaque to give out today. I like to call up the city of Lake City, South Carolina, the mayor of the mayor.
Thank you so much for your participation. Appreciate it.
And also we have a plaque here for the city manager, Miss Stephanie Snowden. While he's up here taking pictures, this is my second Stop the Violence. We had one last year, and as well as this year, but the mayor has been supportive, encouraging, and also the city manager. She was encouraged, she helped me out a lot with logistics and the business part, the admin part, getting paperwork together, who I need to talk to, if I need some help, she helped me. So I just want to say I appreciate the city of Lake City, the mayor, and also Miss Stephanie Snowden, city manager.
The plaque reads, Chi Iota chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated presents to Stephanie Snowden in appreciation for your contributions to Stop the Violence 2020+1. As a community, we're on our one. Lake City, South Carolina, February 27, 2021.
Thank you, gentlemen, and I will make sure.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Vision Community Outreach. held on Saturday, February 27, 2021, Lake City, South Carolina. And it's signed by Brother William Wilson, Basilis of Cuyahoga Chapter, Brother Lameek McMillan, Social Action Chair, Cuyahoga Chapter. This first certificate goes to Reverend Reginald Elmore. Appreciate it. All right. Ms. Jennifer Hearn, Ms. April McPherson King, and Ms. Ava McPherson. Jennifer. Stand right here. All y'all can stand up here. April, come out there. April and Ava. Face that young man right there.
All right, thank you.
And finally, Miss Arthenius Jackson. Miss Jackson.
But there's some other entities I'd like to identify. Again, I say again, special thanks and appreciation to W. Lee Flowers Distribution Center of Scranton, South Carolina, KJ's Food Market of Lake City, South Carolina, the City of Lake City Police Department, and Blood Connection Blood Drive for your support and contribution that helped to make this event successful. All right, the Men of Exile would like to extend a very warm thank you again to the Mayor, Lovett Anderson, as well as the City of Lake City and surrounding areas, sororities, fraternities, and all individuals of the Divine Nine for the attendance and also the community. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, but before we leave, I'd like to recognize all the members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. All members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Come on, brother.
I'd also like to thank Brother McMillan and his committee, as well as the City of Lake City, for allowing us to put this program on this afternoon. I'd like to thank you all for coming. We hope you leave with something this afternoon that you can share with others in the community.
We'll take it out.
All right.
Don't worry, we'll take it out. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
News TY would like to thank you for watching. Please share.